बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। रब्बि शरली सदरी व यसरली अमरी वाहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। Today's lecture is one of my favorite subject, and it was prepared for a conference on Islamic art and architecture, and it explores the different dimensions of water. How is it related to the tariqat, the practical aspect of it, the shariat? How is it used in architecture? And then we are going to see how we misuse this blessing of Allah and created problems for ourselves. And the last part of it would truly be a surprise for you, because it relates to the title of the lecture, and we made everything alive from water. This is ayat from Surah Al-Anbiya, and it's a part of an ayat because the whole ayat is that when the earth was formed, it was in a gaseous state, and then we rendered it apart. And when Allah said the word kun, then the gaseous state, the water came down. It was really like a ball of fire, and then slowly it, because of rain, it cooled down and the crust was formed. So in Quran, water is related to mercy as well as revelation. So the highest form of importance given to water is that it has compared itself to tanzeel, that means ascending down. So both revelations are sent down, and also rain as a mercy is sent down. Water is an important feature of paradise. मतलब अपने हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम will be gifted with Al-Kausar, and this is the water by which whoever drinks it will be satiated forever. मतलब उनको प्यास ही नहीं लगेगी। फिर in paradise अक्सर ये भी लिखा जाता है कि कुरान में है कि it will be a garden beneath which will be rivers flowing water. So that is another blessing from Allah which will be given to you. तीसरी चीज़ जो ये है कि there will be rivers in paradise of water, honey, milk and wine, and it will be a wine which will not lead you astray, but will be like a blessing. फिर सूर्य अल-कमर में है, we open the gates of heaven with water pouring forth, and we caused the earth to gush forth with springs, so the water met and rose to the extent decreed. Now water is not just, it's beneath the earth also, and it's from above also. So जिस तरह when Allah wants the water to rise, it rises like the well of Zamzam. It is a flowing water which is a river which is below the earth, but when the need is there, like at the time of Hajj, the water rises by itself. When God has to compare himself, he compares himself to an ocean. It's something which is unfathomable. You cannot even realize how deep the ocean is, the vastness of it, and likewise you cannot really imagine Allah to be, अगर इसको material उसमें देखा जाए तो the vastness of the ocean is the only thing which can be compared to God. A Sufi also sees Allah as a divine ocean. Ibn Arabi in his vision saw God like a fathomless divine ocean. For most poets, an ocean also represents the ocean of unity. Maulana Room also says that God is an ocean of love, and whoever immerses in it is like a fish who cannot breathe without being in it. So, and when Allah wants to describe His wisdom, He said, "Ki my wisdom is like an ocean, and what has been given to man is what fits into the beak of a bird." And the size of the bird also varies. Our Prophet Huzur Sallam is compared to a river, and as the river flows, it is a blessing for those around it. It is joined by streams and rivulets, which are the ashab, who join him and they reach the ocean. So this is the way our Prophet is also described, as a stream. Imam al-Ghazali interprets the following verse of the Quran: "We send down water from the skies, and the channels flow, each according to its measure." And for Imam Ghazali is gnosis, and the valleys are the hearts of the believers. Now, how is water used? It is really related to not only physical practices. Without water, we will not be able to perform any rites. I mean, without ablution, you cannot say your prayers, you cannot perform Hajj, you cannot fasting with the physical needs are fulfilled. But when it's used in architecture, it's also symbolically related to the different forms, which is a reminder for you about some aspect of Allah. So the fountain is called an ain, which is also the opening of an eye. When you suddenly realize the importance of the revelation, it's like your third eye sort of opens up, and you grasp the meaning of the deeper meanings of the Quran. So it is also related, like the fountains with its flowing. It not only gives you an appeal to your senses, but it is also a reminder to you of some aspect of religion. Then there is also a purging effect of water. When Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam asked Allah, this nation of mine has really been sort of, you cannot do anything about it to bring them on the right path, and hence you take them away, you clean the earth out of all these people. So for 40 days it rained, and also water seeped in from the earth, and there was the big deluge which destroyed everything but those who were in the boat. The purging is also a way of cleansing, not only cleansing of your physical self, but cleansing the earth of the wrongdoers. So in Surah Baqarah, when Hazrat Musa alayhi salam carried his Bani Israel Qawm and destroyed the Pharaoh by drowning them in the sea. Now, if you are looking at the Sharia aspect, Sharia also means a water source. And Sharia, normally one would take Sharia to be like limited to Parda or Kore. But when I started researching on the Sharia given to us by Allah on the usage of water, there were so many aspects of it that it was really an eye-opener for me. So there are 7 kinds of water which you can use for drinking and for ablution. उसमें आ गया रेन वाटर, स्नो, हेल, स्प्रिंग्स, वेल्स and the sea. And water is a bounty which cannot be owned, and that goes for anything which is coming from the earth, like the oil wells. Any resources which is in the earth belongs to the state and not to any private organization, a private party. Then the drinking rights of water, the drinking purpose for humans and animals is the first right if there is a limited amount of water. The second is bathing and ablution. The third is irrigation and gardening. So you cannot have lawns and when you are water strapped. So the drinking rights of human beings has the first right. Human beings and animal has the first right to water. Another very interesting aspect which came to light was how is the purity of water to be safeguarded. 100 yards of a source of water was called a hareem, and in that area you were not allowed to pollute it in any form. And what have we done? And that was called a hareem, the sacred precinct. So what have we done? We have collected the dirt, the waste from all the whole city, and we've dumped it into the river. The wastage of water is also, I mean, it's not only important to maintain the purity of water, but also to safeguard against its misuse. So even if you are sitting by the edge of a river, if you use more water than this, your ablution becomes makruh. So look at the amount of water we waste. Then in Islamic architecture there were different methods of distributing the water. One was the qanat, which was like channels of water. Then there was the falaj, which was water distribution system in the Gulf. Then in North Africa it was the fujra, then the water wheels and the aqueducts. We did not have piped in water, and we did not have the mechanization of extracting water from the earth. These are the system because water was a very important feature in Islamic architecture. So they had devised method to bring water to the city from a source. Now not only does the water in an Islamic garden has a sensuous appeal, the fountain also represented the raining, that is the blessings of Allah, plus it was likened to the blessings of a prophet, that he was sent down as a mercy for mankind. So this is a way in which you see a fountain. Then it not only enhanced the visual appeal of an Islamic building, but it also represented the Char Bagh, which is the 4 rivers in a paradise. So how was water used in Islamic architecture? It was collected in a bauli, and then it absorbs the sound of the azan, and it was distributed to the whole city. So in a way that water had a healing effect. It absorbs the sound and it distributed it. So these are examples how water was used in Isfahan, in Alhambra. And Alhambra is probably the best example of how water was used. So this water was not only used for ablution, but it was also very symbolic, like the opening of an eye. And the circles which you see in the water, the ripples, is like the revelation which is distributed first among the ashabs and then to the common man of our age, and how that ripple is trickled down in the fountain. The sound of water is also because it appeals to your sense of hearing. So you not only see the water, you also hear the water. And Allah says, recognize me through my creations. So the best example is the water, because you can smell the water. When it rains, you can smell it on the earth. You can hear the water, you can see the water, and you can also feel it. And this is the ayat which was written on a sabil. Now these were an important, sabils were an important part of Islamic cities, because even if you are not in this day and age, even if you are not having sabils for animals to drink, but they were, it's considered as a blessing for people कि किसी की प्यास बुझाओ तो उसमें सवाब है, किसी को पानी पिलाओ तो उसमें भी सवाब है. Then an important feature of Islamic architecture was also hammams, and how they were used, because we were given instruction that the purity of body is also important, that when you go for prayers you should be clean in all aspects of it. So there were hammams not only for men but also for women, and we also have them in practically every country which are Muslims. So you have these ancient hammams, and now we have brought the hammams right into our bedrooms, but initially there were hammams which were located in city centers in different areas. Now the best example of how the usage of water was in Alhambra. So you see the court of lions, where there are different lions holding up the bowl, and on it were verses written that these were the generals of the Khalifa, and the Khalifa is the bowl of water, and he dispenses, and the water which flows out of the bowl is like a generous man who dispenses charity with ease. So this is the way he linked it. And the small canals also are, which links the different parts of Alhambra together. So in a way they are connected by a silver cord. And to hear water is also a very important feature. So this is normally when you go to see Alhambra, it is called General Aif, which means nothing. It was actually Jannatul Arfeen, trying to replicate Jannat, but because they could not understand what Jannatul Arfeen is, so they converted it to General Life. But this is a garden, and you can hear this, you can see the water flowing, you can hear the water cascading down from the balustrades. And as I was talking to you about the reflective, the sensuous appeal of water, which is used as a reflective pool. And these are the bowls of water which I was talking to you about earlier, and how just a drip of water which comes out is shown as a ripple which sort of extends to the edge. So like a revelation which is passed on from Huzur Sallallahu down to his disciples and companions, down to us. Now what happened at the advent of modernity? Two things were responsible for the ravages in nature which has happened now. One was the theory of evolution, and the other was the Industrial Revolution. They both combined. The theory of evolution disregarded all the divine laws. In a traditional society, not only Muslims but even Christians, they realized the importance of God-given laws, and obviously the laws coming from the same source has the same, the rituals are different, but the basic principle is the same. So when you divorce God from your life and you make your own rules, so it's a recipe for disaster. The other thing which happened was the Industrial Revolution. They were mainly started in 1740 but extended down. So what happened is they gave birth to an age of consumerism. Live it up. We are at the top of the chain, so we have the right to consume to trample upon the other creations of earth. There's no sense of responsibility. The earth is the final goal, so live it up. So what has happened? The same fountains, but it has a different meaning attached to it. It is a show of power. How can you spew water? The highest fountain, I mean, this is the folly which took place in Pakistan. Okay, how high can we throw the water in the air and we can come in the Guinness Book World Record that we have the highest fountain? And for that, it consumed a lot of energy. You had to keep 2 guards to guard that nobody steals your pump when the fountain is not working. When it is working for a few hours, the amount of energy it consumed was tremendous. So what was the purpose of all this? It was just a show of we can do this. It is not, there's no wisdom behind it. Then you have these dancing fountains, all a show of technology and amusement, but no reflective feeling behind it, no lessons to be learned. And in this day of consumerism, see, this is the bed of a Ravi taken, I think about more than 10 years ago. You can see the black water, which is the result. I mean, according to our Shariat law, you were not supposed to even pollute 10 yards. We've collected the dirt of the whole city and we've dumped it into the Ravi and we've messed it up. And this potable water has been polluted, and a Ravi which was a source of not only food but as a pure water source is now ruined because of our misadventure. Now, our misdeeds are being, hitting back at us, not only through scarcity of water, but through other means also, like tsunamis and hurricanes. And in a way, it is God's telling us not to misbehave, otherwise we would be punished. You have floods, you have the sea coming in and consuming your agricultural land on the seashores, you have polluted all your water. 40 miles down Ravi, you would see the black water. It takes 40 miles for it to sort of restore itself slightly. Then in addition to that, our aquifer, which was collected drop by drops in chappars and permeated the underground water, that is also being polluted by our cesspool. And this is the situation of water insecurity in Pakistan. It's 74%. And if we do not mend our ways and live according to the guidance given to us by Allah, we are going to be in a big soup. There's hardly going to be a bottle of water for us to consume. This is where we've landed ourselves in. Iran is also water strapped, is 67%. India is 40, Afghanistan is 31 and China is, and not only that, all water consuming factories have been shifted from the first world to the third world. So we are the polluters, they enjoy the benefits of our products. See how much potable water is wasted. You are pumping, and every year 10 feet of water, the level of water is going down. So you now whatever you could get at say 20 feet, you are now getting it at 200 feet. See the amount of water you are wasting in a WC, 6 liters. Jacuzzis, 1800 liters per tub. Water consumption in rain shower, 200 liters in a 10-minute shower. And then water in ablution is 9 liters. If it's a running tap, you consume 9 liters. Now Allah has appointed you as the vicegerent on this earth, as an ashraful makhluqat. So your duty is towards the well-being of others. Now people don't even have access to energy or water resources, and it has created a bipolar world. The third world is also aping the West and thinking that we have the right to consume more water because we have the wealth, disregarding that they have a responsibility towards the other segment of the population. And this is an ayat from Surah Jinn. If you had followed our path, we would have given you abundant water. So the withdrawing of water from our lives, being water strapped, is a moment for us to reflect and see how did we go wrong and how do we rectify our behavior so that this punishment of Allah is withdrawn from us. And Allah also says, if you misbehave, you will bear the consequences of your behavior. Now Allah is not against progress and technology, but it should be used for the betterment of humanity at large rather than usurping the rights of others to indulge in your worldly desires. So now we come, what can we do in this day and age when we cannot turn back the clock? How do we progress from this? And by and large, the mentality of most Muslims is that we have not taken the Quran and Sunnah as a key to bettering our lives. We are constantly looking up to the West, and when they discover something which has already been given to the Quran, we at once say, yes, this was given to us by a prophet 1400 years ago. But what a shame, when you've been given and you're not looking at the Quran for guidance. It's a shame for us to say that this was given to us in the Quran. So we have to align all our research according to the Quran and Sunnah. Now this was a research done by Dr. Masaru Emoto, and what we realize now is, if you blow on water after reciting some ayats and you blow on water, it is a form of shafa for you. I think everybody is familiar with that, but we have not bothered to really see how it is being affected. So this is a Japanese scientist, and he studied the crystal formation and how water is, the crystal formation is different from different waters. If you subject water to good music like Beethoven, it has a crystal formation, but if you subject it to heavy metal and the music which has been the current music, you see a dark center in it. So since he was a Japanese, he was a Buddhist, and he took water and he recited the Buddhist prayer on it. And look at the beauty of the snowflake. compared to the snowflake which was done before prayers were recited over it. It had a dark center. Groundwater right before or after an earthquake. And these are the crystal formations resulting in exposure to the sun. It absorbs, the crystal formation is according to the kind of pictures or environment or music it is subjected to. And if you subject water, like we also made 90% of us is water. So if you scold somebody or if you abuse somebody, the water is able to absorb the aura of your words, and it has this. If you subject water to, you abuse it, you call it a fool, and if you say you're cute. So this sort of behavior is also a lesson for us, that if we want somebody to behave in a better way, you don't criticize that person, you praise it. So these are the different crystal formation of water. You say thank you, you are an angel, and if you scold it, like you say do it, the crystal formation is a dark center. And he's done extensive research on Ab-e-Zamzam also, and he said there's no water like Ab-e-Zamzam. I don't have the pictures of it, but you can do your own research. But he's written a whole book on it, that how Ab-e-Zamzam is a kind of water which is incomparable. Now we are coming back to our title. Everything in this world, created world, is according to a balance and well designed. When Allah said kun, be, there was a master listener to receive the sound, that is water.